Okay, we are, I think you should go that way a little bit.
This way?
Mhm.
More?
Yep, good. Perfect.
Okay.
Lovely. Good job. Okay, yeah, fine, that's good. And we're running. Okay, what is your name?
Edward Slotkin,
Okay, when is your birthday, Ed?
October 30th, 1924,
And your current address?
10124 Spyglass Way, Boca Raton, Florida.
Okay. And the only other person attending the interview is myself,
Yes.
Carlton Cartwright, associated with the Children's Coalition Incorporated. I'm the executive director. And I'm asking the questions. I'm also operating the camera. Okay, Ed, what ward and branch of service did you serve in?
I was in the Army,
Okay. What rank were you?
corporal.
And where did you
Well,
serve?
excuse me, in the beginning I was at PFC,
But at the end.
corporal.
Okay. And where did you serve?
Where?
Yeah.
In Germany.
Okay. All right. Were you drafted or were you enlisted?
I was drafted
Where were you living at the time?
in Woodbridge, New Jersey.
Woodbridge. Okay. All right. Okay. Why did you pick that service branch? I mean, I know you were drafted, but did you have a choice to go in any other branch?
No, but I told them if they put me in the Navy, I'm not going.
Okay. Okay. Why? I'm curious. Why?
I didn't want to be. I don't like water.
Gotcha. All right. Okay. All right. Do you recall the first days of being in service?
Sure.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
Well,
What did it feel like? Tell me about your boot camp training, and you remember your instructors.
I don't remember the instructors. I was originally sent to Fort Dix, New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
and from there sent to Fort Eustis, Virginia,
Right.
in anti-aircraft.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I took my basic training. And then, you want the whole thing?
Yeah. Go ahead.
From there, I was sent to ASTP. Do you know what that is?
Nope. What is that?
It's a program where they send, for want of a better word, soldiers to college.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And I was sent to City College in New York, not to study there. That was a distribution center, and from there we would go to a college, another college.
Gotcha.
Okay. And while you want the rest of it?
Yes, sir.
And while we were there, a group of us went to this, took the exam for this exam for ASTP, 5 of us, and we all passed and we went. Then we decided we wanted to see some action, so we decided that we're going to go try to get into the Air Cadet program,
Mm-hmm.
which we all did,
Right.
and we sent them to I don't know, in Illinois. Forgot the name of the. We were sent there, and then from there we were going to be assigned to go to school, as or take things for Air Cadet.
Okay.
And I had a 10-day leave, and I went home. And when I was home, I received a telegram to report back immediately, which I did.
Right.
It was about the 4th day, and when I got back, the emergency was that I was now in the Army, in the infantry.
Okay.
They needed men they had some losses in the battles, and they took us all, everybody.
Right.
And so now I was sent to in Indiana.
Okay.
Forgot the name of it. We were sent there to do training for infantry,
Right.
and I was placed in the Cannon Company, which is a company of 105 howitzers. It wasn't the artillery.
What kind of company?
It was just 105 howitzers. You know
Yeah.
what a howitzer is?
Yeah.
It's a cannon.
Cannon Company. Gotcha.
Cannon Company, yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
And we took our training as we were directly in back of the infantry when we were in battle. But the real infantry was the real artillery was way in back of us with longer 105s that would go a longer distance.
Right.
We would direct. That was what we did. We took our training there, and from there we went to Scotland, and then France, and then England, and then Germany. And we were there, and on the 6th, we were there for about a month, I guess. We were stationed in the forest in the Ardennes, and which was real nice because we all had huts that had been built by somebody else, not us,
Right.
out of wood,
Yeah.
and 6 to a hut,
Okay.
and it was quite nice
Okay.
because they said it was a quiet sector. And on the 16th of December, the quiet stopped, and the whole thing went. The shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
The artillery started coming up about 6 in the morning, and it was the beginning of the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh, okay.
And for 3 days, we went out on patrol. We fought. We had engagements. Not one was a machine gun engagement. And after 3 days, the 19th, we were captured. You want to know how?
Go ahead.
We were digging in to a trench
Right.
on the side of a hill,
Right.
and the Germans were on the other side. It was like a dip, and the Germans were over here. So we were digging in, waiting for them. When all of a sudden somebody came to the officers to tell us that they had a way for us to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So we were on trucks. We never did any walking. The cannon company. We were because we were pulling cannons. We weren't actual infantry people. We got on our truck. We had German prisoners that we had to take care of.
Yeah.
And we got on our trucks, and we were going down a narrow road. It was a dirt road. It was a forest. It was the Ardennes forest. And we were going down a dirt road, and the lead jeep blew up. And then they found out that what had happened is that the guys who came and said they knew a way to get out were really Germans dressed as Americans. But the guys in the jeep all got killed. And then we were sent to a prisoner of war camp. Want to go on?
Go ahead.
Okay, we spent about a week, 2 weeks. I don't remember how much time in a regular prisoner of war camp.
Right.
It was called Bad Orb, ORB. And and before that, we were in the it was like a gymnasium. That's where the bunks were.
Yeah.
And we heard names being called, and there were a lot of Jewish names. I'm Jewish.
Right.
And a lot of Jewish names, and then we inquired. I was with the guys from my own outfit. We were all together, and we asked what it was, and somebody came up and said they're getting all the Jewish guys and all the undesirables, so to speak, or guys whose names sounded Jewish but they weren't Jewish.
Yeah.
350. They needed 350 men to ship to another camp, and we were part of that 350.
Right.
We were segregated, put into a separate barracks,
Yeah.
and then a couple of days later, we put on a train, a cattle car, 5 days, no food, no nothing, and sent to Berga, Berga,
Right.
which was a sub-camp of Buchenwald. The next day, we found out why we were sent there. We were sent there. They were digging an underground, not digging, but blasting an underground factory into a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And they were out of men. And we were the 350 men that they picked to finish that job.
Okay.
And it was 12 hours a day work with no food until we got back.
Right.
And when we got back, we got soup and a piece of bread, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite. A lot of guys died
Yeah.
out of the 350.
Right.
Now, about a couple of weeks later, after working every day we would work in the mine. We called it the mine. And one day we were told that we were leaving on a march. We were going on a march.
Right.
And the next morning we went on a march. And I remember the first night we got to a factory it was a porcelain dish factory,
Right.
and they had hay on the floor in the, I guess, I don't know what, I guess it's where they used to dry the plates and stuff.
Right.
And we were all bedded down there. Not bedded, but that's where we slept, on hay. They had hay on the floor.
Gotcha.
And this happened every day. We'd march, and usually they'd pick out a barn that we would stay in.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it was sometimes we slept out in the open,
Mm-hmm.
but when they couldn't and it was a 200-mile march. I found out just recently that it was a 200-mile march that we were on, because every day we were there. And I escaped from the march twice, got caught twice, and not reprimanded very. It wasn't that bad when I was returned. And on the 23rd of April, we were liberated by Patton's 11th Armored Division.
Mm.
And we were sent to a hospital. Because most of us weighed about 75 pounds at the time.
Right.
And there weren't that many left. There are 5 left right now of that 350.
Mm.
And that's basically...
Today.
Huh?
Today. Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, it could be 7, but I was told it could be 5. Two of the guys are in bad condition. We could be 7 alive today.
Okay.
And that's basically what I went through. It was most of the guys died from starvation,
Right.
and they died on the march. We tried to bury them. It was cold, it was snowy. It wasn't when we were on the
No,
march.
it was hard.
When we were on the march, it wasn't that bad. It was in April.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't that bad, but back in the camp, we used to have to stack the guys in back of the barracks until they could get a thaw. Otherwise, you couldn't bury them.
Right.
That's basically what happened to us.
Right.
I left out certain things, but it's not important.
Like what? Did you leave out?
Well, the treatment we got, it was unbearable.
Can you talk about it? You don't want to talk about it.
I was one day in the mine.
Mm-hmm.
What we did was let's say this is the mine, the entrance, okay?
Right.
But it was about 100 feet long. So far, they were digging into the mountain, and then I guess they were going to go make it bigger. And our job was to would drill holes in that section there of the mine.
Mm-hmm.
It was all rock, solid rock. And they would place dynamite in them. And then we'd all get out of the mine, and they'd let the dynamite go. And then we'd all go back in and pick up the rocks and put them into a cart that was on rails into the mine. And the job was to take the rocks and put them into the until we filled it up. Then we push it out. Of course, there were maybe 5 guys would be used to push it out. The rest were still in it. And we go to the river where the tracks were,
Mm-hmm.
and dunk the rocks in the river. That went on every day. That was our job.
Uh-huh.
So one day, we're all working, and I'm working. I'm doing what I was supposed to do, and all of a sudden, a guy comes in back of me. I don't know if he was a guard or an engineer or what the hell he was, but he was one of the Germans.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me a whack on the back of the head. I don't know if it was a rifle or a shovel or what. It was a metal thing, and I went down.
Yeah.
And I figured to myself, I'm going to stay down. But I didn't. I got up after a while, and he starts swinging at me and talking in German, calling me everything under the sun. And the guys were around me because I was doing this, trying to block his shots.
Yeah.
And they would, don't hit him because you'll get in more trouble. And I didn't. And all of a sudden, it all stopped. And this is the funny part. It's really a funny part of it. He calls in a guard and gives him instructions to take me out. Now, these guys, everybody there thought I was going to be shot.
Yeah.
And I didn't know too much about what was going to happen to me. And he takes me out, and he takes me to a hut that was maybe this from that door to that wall, a hut like that,
Right.
a wooden hut.
Yeah.
And, they open the door, opens the door and tells me to go in,
Right.
and I go in, and there's one Russian guy in there,
Right.
and what he's doing is, do you know anything about dynamiting?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
When you dynamite, you drill the hole,
Uh huh.
you put the dynamite into the hole, or what do you call it, and then you have like a putty that they put in, so that when the blast goes off, it doesn't come out of the hole.
Yeah.
It blasts it up.
Right.
This guy, his job, the hut that they took me to, was the only place where there was warmth, because he had his own stove.
Yeah.
It was delightful.
Uh huh.
And he was rolling clay
Yeah.
to put in to the dynamite hole.
Uh huh.
That was his job, and he put them into a little wooden box.
Right.
I stayed there the whole afternoon, warm. Nobody bothered me. When it was time to go home, 5, 6 o'clock, whenever it started to get dark, I went back to the barracks, and nothing else was said. But I think he did that, the guy who sent me, because he realized, when he was hollering at me, when he hit me, he hollered sabotage, sabotage. And what had happened was there was a slit in the, the thing that broke up the rocks, pneumatic drill. No,
Right.
it wasn't a drill; it was a hammer
Uh-huh.
to make the rocks smaller so we could lift them up.
Right.
And there was a slit in the pneumatic hose, and he blamed it on me, cutting that hose.
Oh.
But I didn't. And he might have realized that, and that's why he sent me to this where the guy was doing the putty.
Okay.
And it was a great way to spend the afternoon.
Compared to.
Yeah, being in there and working my ass off. Yeah. So that was a little incident.
Okay.
There's a couple of times I escaped from the.
Really?
You want to hear a real story?
Yeah.
You won't believe it.
Yeah, I will.
And if you want me to take a lie detector test, I will. And if
Okay.
I don't pass it, you get $10,000.
Okay. Well, I've blown the lie detector out today, so.
Oh, okay. I took off one night, instead of going on the march.
Uh-huh.
Instead of going, putting us in a barn,
Right.
they brought us to the jailhouse, which
Yeah.
was in the center of a small town,
Uh-huh.
and it wasn't that big a jailhouse. But when you walked in, it was like in like Cowboys, where the bars are there, and the guy walks into his office, and you can see the prisoners. Well, they had a big jailhouse there.
Right.
And they were there, and the next morning, it was a gorgeous August day, and I don't know how I did it. I bullshitted somebody, and I got him to let me out to the front of the store, to the front of the, what do you call it? Just like that.
Right.
No guard, no nothing. And he let me. And I go out, and I look up and down the street, it's cobblestone street, and I take a little walk. I figure I'll walk a few, and I walk maybe about 50 yards,
Right.
and there was a street going up a hill. In other words, the regular street was this way, and then this went up.
Uh-huh.
So I decided I wasn't trying to escape, because I wouldn't escape alone. Whenever I went once I went with 2 guys, and once I went with another guy, 2 different times. But this time, I don't call this an escape. I'm walking up the hill, God's honest truth, and I see on the second floor in a wooden house, a wooden 2-family house, on the second floor is a barber pole.
Mm-hmm.
You know what a barber pole
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
I said, fuck it. I walk upstairs, and I said, I'm going to get a haircut, because all I had was lice in the hair. You know, it was a mess, and my hair was all kind. And I walk in, and there's, God's honest truth, I'll swear by anything that's ever, there was 2 German soldiers sitting down, reading magazines or papers, and one was in the chair. And the guy looks at me, and I go and I sit. There's a big table, like this, flat table, and it had all newspapers and magazines on there. You know, German.
Yeah.
So I sit down in back of the thing, and I pick up a newspaper or a magazine, I don't know, and I'm looking at it to see, because I understand a little bit of German,
Right.
because I had Yiddish. You know what Yiddish is?
Yeah.
Well, that's a little bit like German.
Okay.
Well, I couldn't read it, but anyway, I'm looking at it, and this guy's the barber's looking at me. The two guys the three guys get their haircuts and leave, and I'm the only one left. And he calls me to the chair, and I go in the chair, and he doesn't say anything. He's just with a comb, and all of a sudden he breaks the comb because he hit a lot of lice. And I thought he was going to go berserk, because where the hell is he going to get a comb? It's a wartime, probably it's a thing he couldn't get. Anyway, he didn't, he got excited, but gives me a haircut, everything, doesn't ask for money, and he asks me to go through a door. And he opens the door, and his wife, and it's the kitchen this was a house really, and one room was his barbershop.
Right.
I go through the door, and his wife is there with a little girl about 8 years old, and she tells me to sit down at the kitchen table. That was the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I sit down, and she brings me some bread and some potatoes, and it's something. She knew I was starving, and talk, and then she asks me to write a note, because I heard machine gun fire. We heard Americans close by, because I could tell the difference between American machine gun fire and German.
Gotcha.
And they were pretty close. And she knew that they were there, and I knew that they were there. So she asked me to write a note to the Americans. And I did. I wrote a note, and I told them my name and my serial number. And I said, these people were very nice to me. They gave me food. They gave me a haircut. And if you can help them along, I'd appreciate it. And I left. I walked down the steps, and I go out, and I'm coming down. Just as I'm coming down, but the funny part I told you already about, you don't believe that about the haircut, do you?
Yeah. The comb broke.
I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I walk down, and there's a dog fight. An American fighter plane and a jet. That's the first time in the whole world that a jet was used in a fighter. And they were going at each other, and this thing was, and the other plane, and they were going back and forth, and the bullets were flying all over the street.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, they were coming down like crazy.
Yeah.
And I went under a horse-drawn wagon. These wagons that are like this,
right.
Small wagon. And then it only lasts about 2 or 3 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And I went back to the jailhouse. Nothing was said. Didn't say anything. The next morning I escaped again. But that barber, would you believe that?
Uh-huh.
Huh?
Yeah.
That happened, so help me God.
I believe you.
Just the way I'm telling you.
Uh-huh.
And another time, the next morning, we took just two of us took off. It was easy to take off because the guards were as tired as we were, and we in the middle of the street every morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning, we'd line up, and it was easy to go into the entrance of the house, or if two houses were together, there was a grass thing there, and you can walk through, and that's what we did. Two of us.
Yeah.
So what else you want to know?
Okay. Well, the next thing is you did that. Yeah, you did that. So after what happened next?
Well, I escaped again, but I don't want to go through this whole bit. It's a long story.
Go ahead. I mean,
Okay.
you got news, right?
Three of us decided to take off together.
Okay.
Three of us.
Yeah.
The other one, the following day, from what the barber story was two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you the two stories. All right. We went into between the two houses, and we went to the back of the house, and we waited till the guys left, on a march.
Right.
And we stayed there until it got a little light out. I guess it must have been about 7, 8 o'clock. We were sitting on a step, and we went upstairs, and we knocked on the door. And a woman comes to the door, and I asked for bread, brot, because I said I spoke a little bit. And she opens the door, and there's another woman there, just two women alone, and they let us in and they put us at the table. And I think they were scared shitless because they didn't know what we were. They knew we weren't Germans.
Right.
So they brought out bread, and they were very nice. And then we decided we would leave. So I asked for a match, because I figured if we have to, and back of the house, 100 yards was dirt and just grass.
Uh-huh.
Right after that was the forest.
Okay.
Trees all along. Now, so we leave there and we come downstairs, and we decide we're going to walk, not run, but walk to the forest.
Okay.
Where we can hide. That's why I wanted a match, in case we had to start a fire. So we're walking across, and all of a sudden we hear halt, which means stop.
Uh-huh.
And we turn around, and there's the guy who ran the prison camp. Across the street was where we were jailed. It was the jailhouse.
Yeah.
And there's the guy with the pistol. We turn around, and he took us back, and didn't do anything to us. Put us into the jail. And that night, they got transportation on a horse and buggy and took us to where the guys had been. You know, the rest of the guys.
Right.
But they gave us a ride, and nobody did anything.
They give you what?
They gave us a ride there.
Yeah.
And now the next one was a big one. The next escape was a big one.
Uh-huh.
We were in a town that was being bombed shitless.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, go ahead.
And I think the name was Hoff. I'm not sure the name of the town.
Right.
And in the morning,
Uh-huh.
we were on a march, and it's when it was American planes, and they were bombing the hell out of the city, and everybody was leaving the city, going, including us.
Uh-huh.
And we were on a road that was like this.
Yeah.
Watch. This way and this way. In other words, this was grass, and we stood at this under the grass looking up. You know, we lay down and looking up as the people passed by. They didn't pay attention to us because they were in a hurry to get out. It was like a movie where they're anyway, they're trying to get out.
Yeah. Evacuating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And there was a lot of people there. And on one incident, a woman comes by on a bike, superbly dressed in a tweed suit, and she looks at us, and we look at her, and she's trying to get our attention, and she drives with the bicycle maybe 50 yards down the road, and she stops, and we're watching her, and she takes something out of it. She had a basket on the bike, and she takes something out and puts it on near the road and takes off. So one of the guys says, "I'm going to go see what she wants." So he come back with sandwiches. She left sandwiches for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So now everything is going. The crowd is dissipating as far as marching.
Yeah.
And it became afternoon already. So now we decided we're going to do the same thing. It was like 100 yards of grass, and then the trees, or forest.
Right.
We decide we're going to go there. So we get into the forest, and we're fine. We're in there, and it's so thick with trees, we didn't know whether we were going east, west, south, or north. We got lost in there.
Right.
But we decided we're going to walk around. So we walk around for about an hour, and we finally come to a place that's like two farmhouses. It wasn't a small town. It was just two big farmhouses. And we decided we're going to make one guy look like he's sick. So when we went in, we were carrying one guy, not carrying, but he was leaning on us. And we get in there, and the whole crowd comes out, women and guys, and we put the guy down, and we tell him he's sick. We didn't say we were Americans, and we didn't know that they knew that we were Americans, because I didn't know. They're farmers. How the hell do I know what they know?
Right.
So anyway, we there, and we see one woman leave, a beautifully dressed woman in a suit, and she leaves down a path, and she takes off. We didn't think anything of it. The farmer, the head of the farmer, calls in. He had a slave laborer, Russian slave laborer,
Yeah.
And he calls in and he tells him to find a place in the woods for us, and they'll send food the next day for us. So we go, and he picks out a spot, and there leaves, and he leaves, and then we start taking leaves to put down so we can lie down. It wasn't dark yet,
Right.
and we start making it where we're going to bed down.
Right.
About an hour and a half later, he comes running back, and he says, the SS, the woman went into town and asked for a doctor to be sent out because there's some soldiers who were hurt. So they realized what happened. They sent the SS out to get us.
Yeah.
They told him that he doesn't bring us back, he's gonna be shot. The Russian.
Yeah.
Anyway, he tells us that, so we look at each other, we're putting him to death, really, if we don't come back. So we went with him, and we went back.
Yeah.
And nothing happened. They took us back to the guys who had marched that night, and we met there. That's that story.
Right.
But it was a very interesting story.
Yes, really. You said there's
Those
another
are-
one?
No,
What?
those are the kind of things that happen.
Okay.
I only remember one other time, and I don't remember the whole. The only thing I remember about it is that the guy who was bringing us back was an officer, and he had got a cart. He had gotten a cart that was pulled by a horse. You know, one of these small carts that were like this. I don't know what they use it for hay or something.
Uh-huh.
And we stopped in the middle of a town. That was in the middle of the town was a circular where there's benches, you know.
Right.
And we were sitting on the bench, and he told us to stay there, and he'll be right back. Now this was an officer,
Uh-huh.
and he comes back, not one of our guys. It was I don't know where they got him. It wasn't one of our guards. And he comes back with ginger ale for the two of us. He went into a bar and got ginger ale, which
Right.
I thought was a great whatever you want to call it. And that's the only thing I remember. I don't remember what happened before that.
Uh-huh.
How he got us. I don't remember that part.
Okay.
That's my story.
Okay. Were you awarded any medals and citations? You wrote them down. What would you get? A Purple Heart and what else?
Well, the Purple Heart, and I got the Bronze Star
Okay. What'd you get the Bronze Star for?
for the action and as a prisoner.
Okay. And the Purple Heart?
And the Purple Heart, I got what. I don't think it was. I don't know if it was my own men or what. See, I think it happened then. When we were leaving to go and dig in, you know, when I told you that there was we were digging in the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
The side of anyway. We blew up our cannons.
Right.
Because we didn't want them to fall into the hands of the Germans.
Right.
So what we did, we put a charge this way, and a charge this way, and we blew them up. And I believe I got hit when they blew up in my hand over here.
Uh-huh.
And that was the extent of my shedding blood.
Okay.
But I don't know if it was a bullet or that. I really don't know.
Right. Oh, you got hit?
Yeah. And that's it.
Okay. All right. That was enough. We didn't want to lose you.
Okay.
Okay. Before and after the service, just tell us something about letting the service in or at the front. Well, you did that already. All right. How did you stay in touch with your family?
I wrote letters. My sister wrote to me all the time, but I had two very dear friends. One lived near me in New Jersey, and one lived in the West Coast, the northern, not Washington.
Northern California?
Yeah, no, it wasn't California. It was another state.
Oregon?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And my sister, he used to come instead of going home on a pass or anything like that from Indiana. He used to come to my house.
Mm-hmm.
He was an Italian guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we became very friendly. And the other guy lived near me in Jersey, so we knew each other. Anyway, They got a letter from me saying that I was a prisoner of war. So my sister immediately called the one from New Jersey to say she got, and I mentioned them in my letter, that they were with me. And that was the first, excuse me, the first time they knew that their son was alive,
Right.
when my sister called him. Then she called the chief of police in the town in Oregon, that his name was Jimmy Romano, that he lived, and she got a hold of his sister. That they had gotten together before the letter came. They already knew each other,
Right.
my sister and them. And she called her and told her that I mentioned that Jimmy was with me, so they knew
Right.
they knew he was alive.
Uh-huh.
That was just a little incident. Now what else would
Okay.
that's the way you asked me how
How
I
you stay in touch with your family?
yeah, by letter, and she wrote me a letter, but I never got anything in prison camp.
Okay.
I didn't get it until really when I got home.
Right. Right. Okay. What was the food like? Before, during, and after.
Before
In and out of prison.
No, in
How was the
prison
regular food?
food didn't exist. The food was a sixth or an eighth of a loaf of bread for 8 guys,
Yeah.
and it was brown bread, which I'm told was part sawdust, and it was very hard. You had to scrape it with your teeth. And what they called a soup, and it was like turnips in there and some meat, which could be from dogs or whatever. We didn't know what the hell it was from.
Right.
And that's the only thing we ate. That was it for the day, once a day. On a ship coming home,
Yeah.
I ate food. I can't stand cereal, hot cereal.
Yeah.
I ate cream of wheat. Well, anyway, by the time I got home, I weighed my regular weight.
Uh-huh.
By the time I got off the ship,
Yeah.
ate like, and I hadn't stopped. I didn't stop for years
Right.
eating. So that was it. But in prison camp, it didn't exist really.
Yeah.
Now there were guys who smoked. They would do anything for a smoke.
Yeah.
So if I had cigarettes, if a guy wanted a cigarette, what do you got to give me? So I mean, I didn't have them, but they were trading cigarettes for food. And those are the guys who died right away.
Yeah.
Because we got one Red Cross package that was for 8 guys.
Yeah.
One package, and in the package was chocolate, raisins. I remember I had raisins and I traded it for chocolate. Now the raisins would have been better for me to eat than the chocolate, but I didn't even like raisins. But I traded it for chocolate. Anyway, we got that, and in it was cigarettes. Now there was bartering going on, the guys with food and cigarettes. But we didn't get food was non-existent really,
Right.
and that's it.
Okay. Tell us about the stress.
Stress?
Yeah, the level of stress. I know it was high, so just
Well-
talk about that for a while.
Well, I don't know that I was stressed that much because I was a hothead, and I took a lot of chances, and I never thought I'd get caught or that they would harm me. I really didn't. I didn't think I was going to die there, but I was told by the what do you call it, the Department of Justice, that I was pretty close to getting shot
Yeah.
when we were liberated.
Yeah.
We were close to them. Oh, here's an incident. One day when we were marching, we got out onto there was a small bridge over a stream,
Yeah.
and we got over the stream, and for the entire day that we marched, on both sides of the road,
Yeah.
there was a dead Jew with a bullet in his head,
Uh-huh.
laying all the way as far as we marched that day.
Uh-huh.
Now that's probably what was going to happen to us,
Right.
but it never did, and I never thought it was going to happen to us while I was there.
Uh-huh.
I always thought I could get out of whatever they put me in. That's it. I didn't. Now, the stress. The stress was that we had to get up in the morning. Incidentally, they woke us up 2 or 3 times a night for a roll call outside.
Yeah.
But I talked to guys who were in the same camp, on the same details as I was, and they don't remember being called out in the middle of the night for a roll call. I remember, the reason I remember the roll call, because it happened every night, I looked up in the sky and there was the Little and the Big Dipper. And I always said to myself, gee, I wonder if my sister and my mother are looking at the same thing. But they weren't. Anyway, but now I spoke to guys who were there in the same barracks as I was. They don't remember that. And they tell me that in the mornings, when before we went on the march, we had to give our name and serial number to them, and I don't remember that.
Right. Okay.
I don't remember that. But I remember getting up in the middle of the night. That's it.
Okay. All right. Was there anything that you did for luck?
What do you mean by that?
You know, it's a question that they have in here. It's just no big deal.
No, but what do they mean by luck?
Did you do anything for good luck?
When I was on patrol one day, the only thing I did for good luck, my father died when he was 42 years old. I was 15 when he died. We were running through the snow, and it was barbed wire. It was fairly high.
Yeah.
And we'd leap it in the snow and roll, and you had to get over it. And I asked my father to take care of me.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
That's the only thing.
Was there any entertainment?
No.
No.
Shit.
Were you over there for, you know, when
This isn't like you see in the movies. This is real stuff.
No,
there's no entertainment.
Well, no, I understand. I'm talking about like after the prison camp or before the prison camp. Were there entertainers that came and visited you guys in Europe?
Oh, I don't even remember. There were. I know Joe Lewis came to my camp in Fort Eustis.
But Bob Hope's whole thing was what?
No, I never saw.
Asia?
I never saw Bob.
I think he went to Asia.
Well, I never saw Bob Hope.
Okay.
But I saw Joe Lewis.
Right.
And we saw a lot of.
Okay.
We was after I came home from prison, from everything. I came home to the United States. I was sent to North Carolina to a hotel. They really wined and dined us.
Okay.
Then we were sent out to Fort Ord, California.
Okay.
And Fort Ord, California is near Hollywood.
Yeah.
Now we hung around at the what do you call it? As a matter of fact, I just was looking over some things, and there were movie actors all over the place and actresses. That's the only entertainers that we ran into.
Right.
But
right.
Other than that, I didn't see any entertainers.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I think you pretty much, did you leave out any places? It's asking, what did you do on leave? Where did you travel in the service?
What did I do on leave?
Pretty much said every place.
Huh?
When you had leave, what did you do when you went on leave?
When I was a civilian?
When you were in the military.
All right. When I was on leave, but I would go home when I was on leave.
Okay.
I don't know. If I had a girlfriend, I would date her, and we would go out. But
Okay.
I mean, it was a normal life.
Okay. And I think that you probably mentioned every country that you visited so far. You said you went to Germany, France, Scotland.
Yeah.
England.
England. What the hell is the other one? As a matter of fact, somebody was just talking about it. It's right on the border of Germany.
Italy.
No. It's
Switzerland.
no.
Right on the border.
I've been to Switzerland, but I
Holland.
No. Shit. It's a small country, and I can't remember the name. I'm sorry. It borders Germany, Belgium.
Belgium.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We were there.
How was that?
That was during the war. I mean, I remember being in a hut with a family, and that wasn't a hut; it was a house. With the family, and I don't know how I got in there because it was all officers in there, and I was there, and they were talking to these people, and I don't even know what the conversation was. I'm talking about American people, American
Right.
soldiers.
Yeah.
And it was their house, and we were in it. It was a wooden house, and we had mud on our shoes and all in the house. And then we went out. But this was right when we were fighting.
Yeah. Okay.
And but that's the only. I didn't make any other contact with any civilians in German or anybody when we were fighting.
Right. Okay. Do you remember any? Were there any particularly? You said a couple. You know, you thought were funny. The question is, were you? Do you remember any particularly humorous or unusual events?
No.
Okay. Gotcha.
No.
All right.
The only unusual event that I was the thing that deal with the barbershop.
Gotcha.
That was
Yeah,
an
okay.
unusual event.
Yeah, I understand.
It was a stupid event.
What what were some of the pranks that you or others would pull? Any pranks going on?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Do you have any photographs?
Of there?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right. All right. Here we go. We're closing down here. What did you think of the officers, your fellow soldiers? Did you keep a diary?
No.
Okay.
I have a little book. I still have it. That we were always thinking of food. When we were in prison,
Right.
food in the family was everything. And
Number one.
I got these. I wrote little it was a little address book this big.
Yeah.
And I wrote recipes for things I would like to have to eat.
You wanted to be a chef when you got done.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
I bet you did. Okay. Tell me about the days of the closing out of the service. Where were you at? Last days of service.
California.
California, right?
Fort Ord.
So last days. What was going on?
First of all, when we were there, we had nothing to do. I don't know why they even sent us there. We had nothing to. A couple of us went out and got a job it was that's the salad bowl of the world at the time. The carrots and all that. It was a tremendous area.
Uh-huh.
And I worked in a carrot factory, and what we were doing, they had wheels like this, but 10 times the size, big wheels, and the carrots were in there.
Right.
And as it passed us, we'd take a carrot off and cut the ends off and put it into another thing that was turning in this way. You get dizzy.
Yeah.
Of course, one was going one way, one was going the other way. And there must have been 1,000 women there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we went there, we got a job, we checked in with a card. I never had that before. And they paid us. And we did that for about maybe a month.
You were still in the military?
Yeah, it was at Fort Ord.
So
we had nothing to do, I'm telling you.
Check, huh?
Huh?
Your military paid you and
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? We'd come back at 6 in the morning when they was had revelry or whatever they had, and we'd fall right into line. Nobody said, "Where the hell were you all night?"
Right.
And then we go to sleep.
Right.
They had nothing for us to do, and we don't know why they sent us out there.
All right. Okay. So when you finally separated,
Yeah.
what did you do after you separated? Where were you?
I tell you, I was in California.
Uh-huh.
Two of us. I'm trying to think who the other guy was. Eddie Benass, the guy who lived near me in New Jersey.
Yeah.
We found 3 guys, and I was part of the mob, really, who were driving east.
Yeah.
They were going as far as oh shit, I can't remember the name of the town in Ohio.
Okay. I was gonna say Chicago, but go ahead.
No, it wasn't Chicago. They were
Right.
going to Ohio. Name of the town.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
Yeah.
they said they would take us for nothing.
Uh-huh.
And all we did was keep the conversation going, but they were big rough guys,
Yeah.
and they took us to where we were going, Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
They took us to where we were going, and they said goodbye to us. And how the hell did we get home now? I think we take a train.
Okay.
I don't remember hitchhiking, but then we got home.
Okay. All right. All right. So when you finally got home, Did you work? Did you go back to school? Did you use the GI Bill? What?
I didn't use the GI Bill. 'Cause
Okay.
I went to work.
Doing what?
Well, my mother had a dress shop, and I was helping her out. I'd go into New York to get the specials that she'd have to get, and that was part of my job.
Right.
There wasn't that much business, but anyway, that's what I did until I got involved into a big business.
Doing what?
I was in the electrical supply business,
Okay.
and I was in it. You want to know that story?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I used to go into New York at Penn Station, you
Yeah.
know anything about Penn Station?
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to live there. I grew up in New York.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. 34th Street.
Oh, I used to get at 34th Street. You know where on 7th Avenue where the dress?
Pretty much.
Well, that's where I used to go.
Okay.
And I had a cousin who ran an electrical supply house in New York, the biggest one in New York. It was called Curzon Electric.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right across the street. I think it was 32nd Street. I don't remember the town. It was right across from Penn Station.
Right.
So when I used to finish with getting the stuff that my mother needed for the store, I would go up to his office if I had an hour or two in there and bullshit with him. And I never saw business like that in my life. I never saw so much, making money in my life.
Right.
So one day I says, Harry, how do I get into this business? He says, you know anything about electrical work? I didn't even know what a toggle switch was. So he says, well, first of all, you gotta be able to buy, from the manufacturers,
Right.
General Electric and so forth. And I didn't have that background, but I decided I'm going to try it because that's the kind of guy I am. I have no reason to go up and get that haircut. I had no reason to even try this business, and I opened in a store.
Yeah.
I used to put the empty boxes on to make it look like it was full.
Right.
And then one day I called up my cousin in New York, and I says, Harry, you got a salesman that you can send out with me. I just want to go out and see how do you talk to somebody in an industrial plant? How do you get him to buy from you? To speak to him. I didn't know how to talk to anybody about that because I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
So he says, I'll tell you what, I got somebody here, and on his day off, I'm going to ask him if he wants to go out and help you. So he does, and the guy comes out, and he was my age. He was a year older. And he comes in, it was a rainy day, and we start talking about going to see, and he says, I've been trying to get out of working for somebody for a long time. How about if we go in partners?
Mm.
So I says, fine. He had connections with industrials
Right.
in New York.
Right.
Now, we on a handshake, we decided to go into business, and we decided we're going to put up $5,000 a piece. But he can only raise $3,500, so I put in $3,500. So we
Right.
had $7,000 to go into business. Now, here's the kind of accounts he brought that went with him from New York, American Tobacco. You got that one?
Yeah.
Macy's, Western Electric, United Merchants. There were more. Anyway, and that started the business.
Gotcha.
We used to ship to American Tobacco in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
And it started that way. And that's the company, people he bought. I had a connection with General Motors and Chevron Oil.
Wow.
General Motors was they weren't buying from me, but I knew somebody there. You want to hear a good story?
Yeah.
Okay. And this was a store we had, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And every time somebody would come in, I would always say, where do you work? Some guy would say, anyway, this one time a guy would come in for a heater. It was the winter time, and he wanted a heater,
Right.
which I had in the window. And he says, I want a heater. So I says, good, where do you work? He says, General Motors. I said, Jesus, my partner lives in New York, and on his way here every morning, he stops off at General Motors, and the guy won't see him.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, "You want to see the purchasing agent?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "All right." Yeah, and he buys I give it to him at cost, the heater.
Right.
And the next Monday, I don't know, this was a Thursday or something, I get dressed up in a suit, and I go to General Motors. He says, "You go there, and he'll take care of you." So I go to General Motors, and I go to the guardhouse, and the guy calls, the guy who was a German guy, I forgot his name. I said, "I'd like to see Mr. So-and-so." He calls up to his office, and the guy, he won't see me. So I says, the guy who had come in to buy the heater, his name was Juggy Nelson. That I don't forget.
Right.
I says, "You have a guy by the name of Juggy Nelson?" "Yeah, he's head of security here." I says, is he working now? Is he on duty now?" "Yeah." "Can you get him for me?" "Sure." Calls him. Juggy gets on the phone. He says, "Oh, you're the guy from the electrical supply?" "Yeah." "Wait there for a minute, and we'll call you back." I wait about 5 minutes, get a call from purchasing. "Mr. Slotkin, would you please come up?" I go up there, and I walked out of there with an $800 order, and at that time, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I worked out, and that was the bread and butter of my whole business for 25 years.
Wow.
That was, of course, a guy bought a heater in my
Yes.
place.
Yeah.
Is that a coincidence? That's the way it happened.
Good for you. Okay, so all right, so you did that business for how many years?
For about 45, 50 years.
Woo-wee. Okay, so relationships, friends. You cultivate, keep friends from the military.
No.
Join it? Oh, no.
No,
All right.
I don't join any.
Well, you belong to the XPOWs. No, do you? Isn't that an organization or
No.
no?
No.
Okay.
No, there's no. Well, I go to the meetings that they
Yeah.
have here. That's not an. That's not the.
I got you.
And I got one particular friend there, and you probably had him, Morty Brooks.
I got him on the list. I haven't gotten with him yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got him on the list.
He's the guy you want to hear because he's got stories that are unbelievable.
No, I got him on the list.
Okay. Well, he's the one. He goes around lecturing.
Really?
Yeah, about what we went through.
Uh-huh.
He was in my outfit
Right.
in the prison camp.
Okay.
Not in the war, not in the army.
Uh,
In the prison camp, and he's a doctor.
okay. I got him on the
He's a
list.
psychiatrist.
I
That's what
was
he is.
going through it last night. Going
Yeah?
through this, trying to reach everybody. I don't think I dialed his number yet, but I will tonight.
Get him.
Gotcha.
You'll get good information.
Okay, great. All right. Okay. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
I hated it. I wouldn't. When I got out, I wouldn't join any organization that had to do with the military.
Okay. How did
That's not like your family. Your family likes it, but I didn't.
Okay. I hear you.
Okay, but I love it now because they take care of me at that hospital.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. How did your service and experiences affect your life?
I don't think it affected it anyway. I don't think it affected it.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
I don't know, but I don't know. I wouldn't know.
In that case,
You're finished with me.
I want to thank you. And
Listen, I don't know. If,
thanks a lot.
I don't know what those stories. They don't mean anything. They mean a lot to me. But and one thing, my kids and my wife never knew any stories that I had until about 12 years ago.
Right.
And I got one kid's a doctor. One's got my business.
Right.
So they're not kids now.
Yeah.
But they never heard me talk about the army or the prison camp.
Well, it's history. I mean, very basically, if you think about it,
I know.
it's history, and it's very important.
Listen.
All you guys say the same thing to me out of that group. It's like, what do people want with this? And at the end of the day, it's important.
Yeah.
Because it involves the country, the history of the country. It's critical.
I want you to know. About 6 months ago, I got a call from the Holocaust Museum in New York,
Right.
and a woman who's one of the makers there, she came to my house, and I had her to dinner at the club, and we went to my house, and she stood there. She was 11, 12 o'clock. But she wanted to take a lot of this stuff that I'm talking to you about. She wanted to take that back to the museum and put it in the Holocaust Museum.
Yeah.
And I was going to give it to her. My wife said, "No, not. You don't give it to her until you show it to your children."
Okay.
Because I have things that my sister kept a diary of everything that happened to me.
Right.
And pictures and stuff like that. And she wanted to take them to the museum.
Yeah.
But my wife said, "No, until you show them to your children."
So did you show the kids?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But she was a nice woman.
Yeah.
And then she told me that I was going to get a call from.
The museum?
Yeah, no, not the museum. From National Geographic,
Oh,
who was doing this series. They're not a series, but they're doing a 1-hour program.
right.
And it's going to come out between October and December. And it's going to be on National Geographic channel. Do you
Yeah.
have that in your house?
Yeah.
I don't have it. But an hour program is going to be about us, about the 350 guys.
Great.
So that's going to, and we had one already that was done on PBS.
On the Battle of the... Go ahead.
No, just us.
Uh-huh.
The 350 guys who were in prison.
Yeah.
That camp. There was a story on PBS about us.
Uh-huh.
And I was in it.
Okay.
And there were others in it, but at that time there was a lot of guys still alive.
Right.
And now there's only, like I say, 5 or 7, that's it.
Right.
And this program, I know it's coming out. They told me, they gave me the possible date, what the station it's going to be on, but not the exact date.
Right.
But they're going to contact me and tell me when it's going to come out. But and it's going to be about us, the 350 guys.
Okay. Okay.
So, and there were 2 books written about us.
Uh-huh.
I got both of them with pictures.
What's the name of the book?
One is Soldiers of Another. I don't know. If you, when are you going to be at the, what do you call it?
I'll be there on the 9th. That's
Oh.
the next event. September the 9th.
Yeah, but is that an event or is that a meeting?
I don't think there is another meeting. Is there a meeting before?
Not that I know. But September 10th is what?
Ninth.
Huh?
The 9th.
The 9th of November?
Here, let me turn this off. We're done.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.